Yeah. One time for the city.
All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Monday night edition of Knicks Offseason Central. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are at that time. You know, the great news about this Knicks campaign was that they won the championship. And the not so great news is that the offseason has begun with the NBA draft just one day away. And some early free agency news has broken for the New York Knicks. So joining me on today's show, he is the man, the myth, the legend, man, Knicks insider, Ian Begley of SNY. You can catch him on the putback with Ian Begley as well on all SNY media properties. Lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Salute to our loyal franchise channel members, and salute to the replay gang. Let's go. My man Ian, it's only right that we have this episode. You know, we kicked off the season in the studio, touched on a number of topics, and we're going to get to those as we kind of wrap up the season. But, you know, let's start with some Knicks breaking news that came across the newswire just a couple hours ago. Mo is back. Kumo D re-signs with the New York Knicks. Tell the people a little bit more about the Knicks re-signing Mo Diawara.
Yeah. This looks like it was a good piece of business for the Knicks because Diawara was a restricted free agent. He was definitely going to have interest on the open market, and the Knicks wouldn't have been able to exceed a salary starting at, I think, $2.6 million. If he had gotten that offer from another team, Diawara would have had a bigger offer than New York could have given him. So Knicks not letting Diawara get to that open market, get to restricted free agency, locking him in, presumably using his non-bird rights to get him in on a 4-year deal, a little over $10 million in total. And now you're locking up a guy who had a very strong rookie year for you for the next 4 years. I'm not sure if there's a team option at the end of it, but certainly a good piece of business for the Knicks, who loved what they saw from Diawara, didn't let him get to that open market and locked him in ahead of the draft.
Yeah, we definitely love what we saw from Mo. Starting from last summer league, man, I thought he really hit the scene. Very impressive after being known as a project. And give credit to Mike Brown. He was one of the first guys that gained Mike Brown's trust in that extended bench rotation. And then, you know, a lot of fans were like, okay, so let's stash him away. Let's not show too much of this guy because, you know, after that game against the Pelicans, he started to jump on a rocket out of there. But I like the pickup. I love the idea of the Knicks, you know, really loading up on wings and their wing depth. And this seems to be another beneficial deal for both sides. And hopefully, as you said, them using the non-bird rights would allow them to continue to make moves and not have to deal with those second apron issues.
Yes. Yeah. The second apron issue is interesting here in New York after Nick owner James Dolan going on FAN saying he does not want to get into that second apron. And you know, I thought that maybe he was conflating a few things and thinking about that repeater tax that kicks in when you're in that second apron 3 years over a 5-year period. But that's not the case. That was a legitimate thought and opinion from Dolan about not wanting to get into that second apron, which has a lot of implications for the Knicks this offseason. Now, look, maybe management, maybe the front office talks him through it and gets him off that stance as they head into the draft and free agency. But that was a real thought from Dolan, not wanting to get there. And obviously, CP, you can't get it. If you don't get into the second apron and you're the Knicks, you can't bring back Mitchell Robinson. And so there's a lot of implications there if Dolan indeed holds firm to that, not going into that second apron.
Yeah, true indeed. And, you know, that's a good segue to the next topic, which is Big Country Mitchell Robinson. The elder statesman ended this season with a ring. I was very proud and happy to see that. But now comes business. What are you hearing so far in terms of, you know, how the Knicks feel in terms of bringing him back? And, you know, are they in trouble here in terms of bringing Big Country back into the fold?
You know, it's just about that second apron, right? And I think that one of the things here is Robinson – I want to say that I don't know how many teams, but going into this thing, there were several teams that had big time interest. And I believe at least one of those teams was offering a starting spot. And that's what gets interesting, right? Because Mitchell Robinson, as long as Karl-Anthony Towns is here, he's not going to start for the Knicks. So if starting matters, maybe you look somewhere else. I know that he and the Knicks didn't get close on an extension ahead of the year, and the Knicks decided to table talks then and get to free agency. And so that's where they're going to be. The thing with the Knicks, though, is if you let him walk, you don't have a lot at your disposal to find a Mitchell Robinson replacement. And because it's not like you have cap space to spend. You have that mid-level that caps you at the second apron. And so the options are limited there. So it's an interesting dance here. If Robinson does get to that point, June 30th, 6 p.m., I'm sure his agents at Wasserman are going to get a ton of phone calls. But if I'm the Knicks, I kind of have to lock him up because, again, the alternative, there's no good alternative there if you're losing Mitchell Robinson for nothing.
Yeah, and, I've seen knocks like, he didn't have the best postseason run. And, yeah, you can make a case some nights certainly weren't his. I thought he did play well in certain series, in the Hawks series against Philadelphia as well. But I don't see the potential backup replacement. Sure, we can look into the draft and maybe they catch lightning in a bottle with an upperclassman that's ready to play. But from his experience as a screener, as an offensive rebounder, as a defender, and the chemistry with this team, the chemistry with Jalen Brunson, the chemistry with the other wings, the safety, if you will, using a football term, on this team, I think Mitch is still important, man. I think he's very important for their championship potential here.
And you talk about, bringing somebody into the draft, even if it's an upperclassman, you need a player. If you're going to compete at the level you want to compete at, you need somebody coming in behind Karl Towns who knows what he's doing, who's experienced, who you can count on for consistency. Now, Mitchell Robinson, obviously, regular season, he's been in and out of the lineup. Maybe the Knicks would do that again this coming year if they re-sign him. But even with all that being said, can you trust a rookie to play that role, to have that kind of consistency that you'll need if you want to get back to the top of the mountain? And so it's a tough question, I'm sure, for the Knicks to answer. But it seems to me like Mitchell Robinson's in a great position for negotiating. Knicks are not in that great of a position in terms of trying to replace Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I thought it was worthwhile for them to punt to the offseason, take a risk, see how it plays out, see how healthy he was going to be. Now, the medical staff did a hell of a job in terms of his load management and getting him to that point where he could play in the playoffs for this team. So it certainly worked out for both sides. But as you said, very interesting. If he's got a starting offer somewhere else, does he take it? Is it the Lakers? We know he's a country boy, loves the South. Is he looking that way? Like, I can't see like a Sacramento. Even though Scott Perry's there, I can't see Mitchell Robinson bolting for the wall in a Game of Thrones reference. House of the Dragon season 3 came out yesterday. I just can't see it, man. I still have to hope that the Knicks are in the driver's seat here, but maybe it's a place down south that Mitch is ready to get closer to home.
Lakers obviously need a center, so I'm keeping an eye there. And then you mentioned Scott Perry, Sacramento. They drafted a great young big man late in the second round of the draft last year, and he turned into an all-rookie player. So maybe that negates some of the need for Robinson, but Scott Perry drafted Mitchell Robinson. They remain strongly connected, so that's another one to keep an eye on. But, yeah, I think if the Knicks let him go, and the replacement is something like a veteran's minimum, like that's a risk. That's a big risk. Even with Robinson's injury history, you need somebody like him behind Towns.
Yeah, and speaking of the vet minimum, as we talked about Mohamed Diawara coming back to the Knicks, do you think that has any impact on, does it tip their hand in terms of where they might be headed with Landry Shamet, a guy who's given the Knicks a deal, 2 vet minimum contracts? He certainly played a big part in their championship success. I have a hard time seeing him settling for, something of that caliber, especially given the open market.
Yeah, I can't see him doing it either. I don't think there's going to be a hometown discount, nor should there be, because Landry Shamet has earned a significant raise based on what he's done for the Knicks, particularly the playoff run, the championship run. And so, yeah, the Knicks are going to have significant competition there for Shamet. And I think people are waiting, people with kind of vested interests in how the Knicks are going to, use their money. they're waiting to hear what the consensus is, what the decision is on the second apron. Dolan, is he going to stand on not going into the second apron, or is he not? People were looking for clarity on that, as recently as Monday afternoon. And so we'll probably find out where it sits based on what happens in the draft, but certainly big implications, that second apron and owner James Dolan's willingness to exceed it.
Yeah, I am curious to see where he wants to go with that, given that they've won the championship, the elusive championship. They have it. Will he now look to, implement some austerity measures, tighten up the wallet a little bit? It'll be very interesting to see which direction that he goes in. Another player I'm curious about is Deuce McBride. Still on the contract with this team, kind of like Diawara, gave the Knicks a major deal there on the night before they traded for OG Anunoby. What do you think about the future Deuce McBride is with this team?
I don't want to say it's going to come to a head this summer because I think that's overstating it, but McBride is going to want an extension and has earned an extension, obviously much richer than his current deal. And so does that come from the Knicks? Do they decide that, hey, it's not coming here, so let's go ahead and find McBride a home where he will get paid? I think that coming out of that trade deadline, I think both sides kind of felt each other out in terms of appetite for a long-term commitment, and it wasn't there at the time, and we'll see where it sits now. But if I'm the Knicks, and again, that second apron issue is gonna rear its ugly head, and it just starts there. And so I don't want to punt on the question, but I do know that based on the trade deadline, some teams with cap space, love Miles McBride. And so if the Knicks and McBride side decided they can't figure out an extension, it's time to figure something else out. There would be a significant market for McBride there.
When we look at, when we talk about Mitch, we talk about McBride, I think, when they're looking at retooling this roster, certainly if Mitch leaves, you're going to need to find a backup big in the draft. But I also think there was a need at times for additional playmaking, additional ball handling. They were able to get by. But, certainly at the guard spot, I think they could use some depth there. Should they lose McBride? Should they even lose a Shamet or even a Clarkson? Based on with the draft coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday, based on the players that they brought in for workouts thus far, any, insight into where they might be headed in terms of the draft?
I've heard that there are fans over there of Zuby, Ejiofor, St. John's, Terrace, Reed, the UConn big man, also Isaiah Evans. Obviously, they brought him in for a workout. And they brought in a lot of players, right, for those pre-draft workouts. And, usually you go into the draft with many different scenarios, and obviously you're picking at 24. It's hard to know who's going to be there and who isn't. So I'm sure they're preparing for several different scenarios, including maybe trading out of the first round. But those are three of the names that I had heard most recently in terms of support or fans within the Knicks organization, those players having it.
Yeah, so you have a couple of bigs. I like the kid Evans, man. I like the kid Evans to add to the wing stable. Can play the 2 to 3, has the wingspan, has the athleticism, somebody that can attack the basket. I like his potential there. He did work out with the Knicks. Said he, liked the energy that they brought in terms of the team dynamics. So could be interesting. Like you said, you just never know what happens at 24. A lot can happen before they get there. And do they decide to punt it back a couple of picks, or hey, maybe even into future years, depending on how they see the books.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, and you've seen it, CP. You've been late night, first round, second round, covering the draft and waiting, and you've seen Leon Rose make these trades draft night where they move back a couple slots, or they move out of the first, or like they did the Jalen Brunson summer, trading their number 1 to OKC for some future firsts that eventually turned into the 2 Washington Wizards second rounders as they were trying to clear cap space for Brunson. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting, obviously, round 1, but they have the best pick in the second round, too. And that's valuable in today's league, especially for a team that maybe is going to be worried about a tax bill, worried about a second apron, and you could bring in somebody who hopefully you can develop into a rotation piece in an early second round.
Karl-Anthony Towns, is when we talk about extensions, has another year on his deal, and then he has the player option for 27, 28. There were talks earlier this year in terms of the two sides trying to, come to some sort of agreement here. But what do you think about a potential Towns extension?
Well, I know that the Knicks and Towns today are obviously in a much better place than they were the beginning of last year, early last season. What that means for a potential extension, I don't know. I'm not sure. But again, you're talking about a second apron thing here with the owner, James Dolan. And, I just can't see him sticking to that, man, because you have a player in Jalen Brunson who took a discount on that extension to get other guys here. And then you finally get your title after spending a lot of money on fired executives, fired head coaches, spending a ton of money. And you got your title, and then you're just going to belt tighten. I don't see it. I think something's going to change his mind, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would have to think so as well. Now the question is, like Jalen Brunson, will Karl-Anthony Towns, give the Knicks a deal?
You know what? I think he's gonna. Here's how you have to look at it. I think if you're Karl Towns, is another team going to give you what you're making in that last year, or anywhere close to it? And depending on the answer to that question, you might have to take a discount from your last deal to an extension here in New York. And the landscape is going to change when it comes time to have those conversations. But certainly Karl Towns is a forever player in New York after winning that championship, being a huge part of that championship. And so it would be unpopular, I would say, very unpopular if they had Towns be disgruntled over an extension and, had a dark cloud over the season with Towns wanting an extension, Knicks not offering one. I would think that they find some common ground if that's something Towns is looking for.
Well, what do you make of just his entire body of work this season? When we had our preseason show, we talked about how obviously he was going to be very important, vital to this team's success. With Mike Brown coming in, he comes in with question marks about his role in the system. And in the end, they turned it over to him, and he thrived. He gave Mike Brown basically everything he wanted in terms of operating as the offensive hub and making the team better. What did you make of his entire body of work from, maybe your discussions with him and the team once they won that championship?
Look, I thought, he was just kind of spewing cliches when he was saying, I just want to be put in position to help the team win. Because that was his line consistently over the course of the year, especially when we would go to his locker after a game where he took like 9 shots, 8 shots. And difference between earlier in the year and later in the year, you could kind of tell that he was not really satisfied with those shot attempts and his involvement in the offense. Later in the year, particularly like the last week where it was more Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns pick and roll, and then obviously in the postseason when he's being used as a hub, it seemed very genuine that he did not care about those shot attempts, that he was about just playing a role and helping that offense go in the role that they switched him into Game 4 in Atlanta. And so, yeah, I think just based on that and based on the sacrifices from a shot attempts perspective that he was willing to make and the end result, you have to give Towns a lot of credit for where this thing ended up. Additionally, Mikal Bridges, give him a lot of credit for where this thing ended up, and OG Anunoby, because those guys, over the course of the last 2 years, I'm sure each of them could make a strong argument for more touches and more shots over the course of these last 2 seasons at different points. But postseason, those guys were locked in on winning. That was the only thing that mattered. And that's why, part of the reason why they got to where they got to, top of the mountain at the end of this thing.
Yeah, he was tremendous. He was selfless. The passing ability, making his team better. The defense, going at Wemby on both ends of the floor in the finals. I thought Karl-Anthony Towns was absolutely tremendous. And, as you said, I find it hard to believe that Dolan would, implement, some tightening here of the belt after. And he did say he would defer to Leon. He did end that on the Carton interview that he would defer to Leon. But, Leon had the conviction that Karl was the final piece to the puzzle here, that they could truly win a championship. He went all in for Bridges, then he trades Julius to get Towns. They believe that they had the team that at that time could beat the Celtics, and now, ironically, the Celtics are trying to beat the Knicks in terms of how they're trying to put their team together. But, I say that to say, I think they owe it to this team and to the fans to continue down the road with this core. They believe in the core.
Have to. In my mind, it would be ludicrous to, cut off your nose to spite your face in a way that you're losing a Mitchell Robinson, you're losing a Landry Shamet. It just would be a bad look, in my opinion. So I would be surprised if Dolan didn't come off that stance as they get into the draft and free agency.
I had spoken to Bobby Marks about potential Hart extension. Anything on that front? Do you think that's something that the team would approach this season, or something that they maybe punt down the road?
I would assume it's a down the road thing, because it just is, in terms of front burner stuff. Even the Towns extension to me doesn't feel like a front burner thing. The front burner stuff is Shamet, is Robinson, is the Deuce extension or no extension, and trying to work that stuff out. Maybe I'm off. Maybe those are front burner issues, but I haven't heard them presented as such. But certainly, when the time comes, I'm sure the Knicks are going to take care of Josh Hart. I would assume they take care of Karl-Anthony Towns. It's just depending on when the extension is or when that agreement happens. And then obviously the big one is taking care of Jalen Brunson on that big max deal that he should get and will get, presumably, once this extension is done.
Yeah, just a matter of when. CP The Fanchise, Ian Begley here, Knicks Offseason Central. So to everybody in the chat, man, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Shout out to our guy, Jake Asman, in the chat. Sends a super chat, says CP and Ian Begley for life. World champion New York Knicks. World champion New York Knicks, man. Has a great ring to it. If you guys want to talk to Ian, have any questions, call us up in the KFTV Discord. And once again, salute to everybody in the chat. Ian, when we think about potential replacements, should they lose it? Should they lose a Mitch? Should they lose a Shamet? Maybe a Clarkson? Anybody within that taxpayer mid-level range or the minimum range, just based on previous interests that we should potentially have on our radar here?
I mean, the funny one, not funny, but if he was healthy, Dante DiVincenzo, I'm sure would be. Not that he would. You could get him for that money because I don't think you can if he's healthy. But that would be a guy that I'm sure would at least try to kick the tires on, and that's just unfortunate, his injury. But beyond that, it's CP. I'll be honest, man. I've kind of just been operating before Dolan made that statement. Just been operating on the assumption that the Knicks were going to bring Robinson and Shamet back, and so I hadn't even thought about potential replacements. And I still think at the end of the day that's the way it goes. And I still think that there's not going to – a team will come after Robinson, but not in a way that the Knicks wouldn't feel comfortable matching or exceeding the deal. Part of me wonders that injury during the finals with Robinson. Obviously, it worked out because they won the finals. Does anybody sore over that, bothered by that? Does that impact in any way the negotiations with Robinson? I wouldn't think so because they won the title. But again, I've kind of just been operating with that assumption that these two will get done. Dolan will go into the second apron, and it'll be pretty much the same players back.
Take me back June 13th, the Saturday, Game 5 in San Antonio, fourth quarter. The captain puts the cape on, 45 points in the game. I mean, what was your reaction when the whole thing was just unfolding? Knicks coming back again from down double digits on the strength of Jalen Brunson, and he had help, but basically, Captain Clutch, man, saving the day again.
It was something that you've gotten used to, CP, I'm sure. You've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot. But on that stage, and, he hadn't had a Jalen Brunson game, really, in the finals yet. And so you kind of thought that might be coming at some point. But for him to do it on the road in a closeout game in that fashion just making every shot, making the right play, just adds to his legend in Knick history, and among the franchise greats. It was a storybook way to end that year and to and ended obviously as champions, but a storybook way for Brunson's Knick career to be a part of that chapter, just to knock the Spurs out in the way that they did. And again, no one is surprised when he performs like that in the fourth quarter. But that stage, those implications, I could tell you that being in New York was a headache in some ways for the Knicks. Staying in a hotel, practicing at the Garden, they were out of their routine, so a lot of them didn't want to have to deal with that Game 6, going back to New York, dealing with the disrupted routine. And so I say all that to say, remarkable performance at the perfect time to get the Knicks over the hump.
Yeah, and as you said that, there were thoughts that heading into Game 3, with all the extra security measures, the president coming in, that he kind of threw them off, right? They had to travel differently and prepare a little bit differently, and it kind of threw a lot of guys off their normal routines.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't as much Game 3 specifically as it was just the idea of them practicing in the Garden, because that's how you do it when you're in the finals. The teams are going to practice on the same site, basically for media availability, so they're not practicing in Tarrytown. And they're staying in the city. I think they're all staying in a hotel in the city. And again, you got your family, everybody's probably asking for tickets, and you're living in a hotel, which again, I'm not trying to say that this is any kind of a hardship, but all I'm saying is it does take you out of your normal routine, and just, the craziness in the city, fans, president, watch parties being canceled, all of it. I think it impacted how they experienced things at home. And I think that if they had their choice, they would have closed it out Game 5 and not had to deal with a Game 6 in New York for those reasons and others.
Yeah, you know what, Ed, because I'm sitting there at Game 4, and this is prior to just the miraculous comeback when they're down by 29, and I'm just like, yo, you know what? Go back to San Antonio, because maybe they're better off on the road. They were a very good road team, and throughout the entire playoffs, I said maybe the Garden is just too much right now for this team. Go back to San Antonio, back against the wall, and you can lock in, and then the whole thing just starts to flip in that fourth quarter. And I told people this all the time, even being there. When I left that game and the next day, and I'm telling people I was at the game, they're like, how did it happen? I said, I have no idea. I got to go back and watch the fourth quarter again, because I completely blacked out. And it's funny, Jalen's mom almost said the same thing in a LinkedIn post that night. I mean, talk about that night, man, at the Garden, man. Game 4, man.
What can you say, man? Like, the thing that I'll always remember, and CP, you know this, like the security guards there, great guys and gals.
Yeah.
Just really good people. Love shooting the breeze with them. But their job after games is to get everybody out of the building. And, fans want to take pictures and get a memento, whatever. They're telling those fans, hey, we got to go, guys. That's their job after every game. Get out. We got to go. Get moving. Game's over. And that was not the case, obviously, this time, because it was such a incredible moment, special moment. Fans just celebrating on the court, fans, the majority of the arena remaining in their seats, celebrating, sing-alongs. There was like a karaoke party with 10, 12,000 people. And it just, it told you, not that you needed any moment to tell you, but it was just appropriate given the gravity of that play and that comeback, and just a special moment in New York sports and in NBA history, quite frankly.
Yeah, and that's what I remember at the end, too. It was like, it seemed like there was a ton of people on the court that weren't players. And for a split second, I was like, wait, is it over? Did they win the championship? Like, I was just completely delirious. But you're right. And nobody left. Nobody left when they were down by 29, especially my section. My section was full. Yeah. Seemed like the entire Garden was full. And, I think everybody knew that when you have Jalen Brunson, you're always going to have a chance. But I thought OG, from that Hawks series, to me, he had emerged as a legitimate offensive threat. We know the defense We know how versatile he is and how tough he is. The takeaways offensively is when we saw him take it to another level. He took a little setback with the hamstring, but then he came back in that Spurs series, and I thought he finished very strong.
He was fantastic. Fantastic. And he had the shot going for pretty much the entirety of the postseason. And, Tom Crean, I think he said this other places, but I caught up with him a little bit after game 5, just talking about OG. And he said the guy is meticulous in how he studies great shooters, like really studies great shooters, their patterns of motion, things like that. And you see his shot is so repeatable in terms of if he has his feet set, everything looks the same every time. And that's a credit to how seriously he takes it, how much he works. And you see the results in these playoffs. I mean, how often did he hit a late clock 3 in that Atlanta series? It seemed like it was again and again and again. And, the defense is always where it is, which is at a very high level. But then for him to emerge as that number 2 option pretty much offensively, it was something to see. And, it obviously validated everything the Knicks thought when they traded for Anunoby, then when they re-signed him to that $215 million deal when he was up in free agency.
A huge acquisition for them, and along with Jalen, has really turned this franchise around from the day he got here. He's been tremendous. Any other observations from Game 5? When they clinch it and everybody's on the court, to the locker room celebrations. Like any other observations that kind of stuck out to you based on all your years of covering the team?
I thought it was really cool just kind of being off to the side of the press conference area. And just seeing the family members and the friends, they were kind of watching that whatever player they were friends with, family members with, go into the media space, answer their questions, and you just see the joy on their faces, the exuberance on their faces. And I guess, when you're on that ride for however long they've been on it, with a particular player, seeing him at the top of the mountain is really special. So I'll always remember just the family members and friends, just how they looked and how proud and overjoyed they were in that moment. And then, these guys, jubilation like I haven't seen, certainly from a Knick player, but even in pro sports and other facets, pro football, pro baseball. Just the jubilation. I remember these guys walking off the floor, going through the tunnel, back to the locker room. Each one of them, it was displayed in a different way. But it was just these guys were on cloud 9 for obvious reasons. But just to see the reactions, to see facial expressions, the yelling, the clapping, Mikal Bridges coming off the floor to fans chanting "F them picks." I mean, it was a scene, man. It was fun to watch. It was fun, certainly fun to be there.
Yeah, an absolute seed for sure. Did the media get a chance to take pictures with the trophy, or was that just? I saw my guy Chris Persianen. Did you?
No.
Okay. I don't know if that was AI or what. I saw him next to the trophy. I don't know what that was.
I wouldn't. But yeah. Respect to anybody who wanted to do it and did it. I got no problem with it. Just not something I would do. But how about, man, Rick Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns Sr. taking a picture with the trophy, man.
Yeah.
What a beautiful shot, man.
Beautiful, man. We know those. We just got a chance to celebrate Father's Day, man, and it was just one of those that I wish I could see, when I get older. But we certainly at the little league level, we see it, and we get to experience that joy, man. It's hard to describe that feeling, man, when you see your kids accomplishing great things.
Yeah, it was such a cool moment, given the organic ties. Brunson's, the Townses, Leon Rose, all of it. It's just so cool. And I will say this too, I forgot about this. After the game on the floor, it was like an hour after the game, Karl Towns Sr. was out there speaking with my colleague, Chelsea Sherrod, and just how happy he was. And he said something to the effect of, what can they say now? They can never take this away from him. And he's 1,000% right. This is forever. This is, whatever you say about Karl-Anthony Towns, you have to call him a world champion. And that's never going away. And it just seemed like he was happy and proud, and also, I don't know, relieved is the word. I don't know what the word is, but it was something else where he was like, well, what can they say now?
True.
It was just a cool thing to hear him say.
Shout out to JP5440, number one in the chat leaderboard, $10 super chat, says second apron seems very restrictive, even if you need to do a small trade mid-season due to an injury to a backup. Is it worth it, or does the team deserve one run-it-back year? Family show it. I would have to think so. A chance to repeat for sure.
Are we on the same planet? I mean, they just won an NBA championship.
Exactly.
Of course they deserve a chance to run it back.
Yeah.
Finances be damned. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It'll be bad. I'll just say it'll be bad from obviously PR perspective. Whatever, that probably doesn't mean anything to James Dolan, but just internally, it's going to be bad if you're taking that approach and you're losing important players off this team because of that approach. I think it's just going to create some irritation, maybe internally is the best way to put it. And so we'll see. Let's see when we get there, if we get there, because I still think that end of the day they're going north of the second apron. And I understand there are restrictions when you get up there, but when you're a team that just did what the Knicks did, you should be live with those restrictions and bring the guys back who were so important to that run.
To the phones we go. Do we have Triple M in the building? Triple M, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening. Do you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. You are live and direct,
we got
man.
you, Triple M.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, champion. Ian, you are the GOAT. You're the GOAT, Ian, and happy Father's Days to you guys, fellas.
Likewise.
First of all, make sure to hit that like. We got 1,355 people watching right now. We need to hit that like. Hit that like. Get them likes up. My question to you, CP, Ian, I know you guys are locked into the show, but we just had to trade Randle to Brooklyn.
Hang on, Triple M. Let me make sure Ian can get in. Ian, go ahead. Real quick.
I just want to say, man, I'm happy for you. Happy for the whole network, man, because you guys are grinders. You've been in it forever, and you guys deserve this. So I just want to say congratulations to you guys. I'm just really happy for the fans who have been in it for a long time, and I know that's this network for sure.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. We really appreciate it. KFT family keeps growing, and we couldn't grow without you. You give us that insight and that you pull the curtains back, that we couldn't see. So thank you so much, Ian. But my question is, so we saw that Randle got just traded, right? And you see the Knicks, they usually operate like that. They try to sign you to an extension. And if they can't really find that common ground, we saw that with Quickly, saw that with Obi, we saw that with Randle. They just trade you. So I was going to ask, do you see that sense of urgency with Deuce? Like, if we can't sign Deuce this year, we have Kolik there, we have Alvarado. He pushed back his player option. I see him coming back. So what is the sense you're getting with the team? Are they hell-bent on running it back? Or do you see that they'll make a move? I know McBride doesn't make a lot of money, so it'll be really tough to really get that value for him. But what sense are we getting? Are we running it back? Because I remember you used to tweet. They used to bring in a whole bunch of guys, and we used to tweet all these guys that they have for workouts. You haven't even done that this year. The Knicks are trading the pick tomorrow. It's absolutely confirmed they're trading the pick tomorrow.
No. He's put him out there. We just don't care. We just don't care anymore.
I'm not even watching the draft tomorrow. I know they traded it back, so I'm just ready to see what moves are we going to make, Ian. Thank you. Salute to you, Ian. And shout out to you, CP, man. You already know the vibes. Triple M, we out of here, dog.
Listen, I've been tracking him. Ian has put the prospects out there for months. But the Knicks, we're in a different, we're rich right now. It's a little bit different, man. We're not starving anymore. But you put them out there, right, Ian? You put them out there.
I have reported a bunch of them, and I love the comments like, it's like somebody will say, this used to be the biggest, story of the year. Somebody else will say, I don't care, man. It doesn't hit the same right now after winning. Don't hit the same, and I love it. And look, maybe even financial purposes, they get out of the first round and move the pick. I'm sure, every scenario as you go into this thing is on the table, as it is for most teams. But I do think that you're talking about Deuce McBride in particular. Sure, obviously the Knicks would love to have him back. I think that he deserves an extension and he's earned it, and I assume that he's going to want it. And so, to Triple M's point, if you can't get there, if you can't find a common ground on that extension when you're the Knicks and you're McBride, you probably are going to look to move him, and he's going to want to get paid, and he's earned it. And so I think it's as simple as that. And that's just kind of my read based on, stuff around the trade deadline. So look, I'm sure both sides would love to figure it out. I know Miles loves it in New York. He's been such a key figure for them. Knicks see him as such a key part of what they've been able to do. But at the end of the day, the guy's earned a big raise. And so if it's not going to come from the Knicks, maybe it comes from somewhere else.
Yeah, likewise. And then also, you have the Alvarado deal there, and also Kolek. Like, I wonder if Kolek in year 3, do they have any faith in him? He gets a little bigger, another year in the summer league, another year in the preseason, more workouts at Begley. Do they have? And look, Kolek had his moments in the sun this year. Certainly helped him Christmas Day, helped him during the NBA Cup, and so I do wonder how much of responsibility he gets next season as well.
The Alvarado piece is interesting. Obviously, my guy Jake Fisher reporting that he pushed that option date back. To me, two things. One is it just gives the Knicks like flexibility through the draft. If they, they're a little more financial flexibility, not so much in terms of the actual numbers, but knowing that 4.5 that was Alvarado's option, you're not fully committed to it yet. And the other thing is, I think he was if he was gonna decline it, it was because he was getting, multiple years from the Knicks at a different number. And so I can't see them letting him walk. Again, go back to where we started this conversation, CP, that second apron, and are they going to exceed it? That's part of it. But if he's declining the player option, which I would assume he is, it's for a multi-year agreement. I would assume with the Knicks. I don't think you can't let him go after everything that's gone on since you've traded for him and where you've ended up here.
Yeah, now you think about that game 4, man. Huge role, Mike Brown, the trust in just mixing it up and going to different guys and those guys delivering. Jose Alvarado, game 4, unsung hero. Before we get to the next call, Triple M did bring up Julius Randle gets sent to the East Coast version of the wall, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. Minnesota opting for the 33rd and the 28th pick. I didn't look at our guy John Krasinski, his reaction to this, but, just from a basketball observer standpoint, what's your opinion on this from a Minnesota standpoint?
Look, they're not here to collect picks, right? They're here to win and to put a competitive team around Anthony Edwards now and as competitive as they can be. So that's my read on it, is it's a precursor to something else. What that something else is, I don't know, but I just know that they're not going to sit there and make those picks tomorrow night. Something else is coming. Yeah. And so that's kind of my read on the Minnesota side. And then, the Brooklyn side, they are, if Michael Porter Jr., if they keep him, Julius Randle, those are a couple of vets who like the ball in their hands. And are you taking opportunities away from your young guys, or is there another move here with one of those guys where you're able to put the ball in the young players' hands while also getting the best out of a Randle or a Porter Jr.? So that's where my mind goes there. And obviously, Nick-Net rivalry. Spiced up a little bit, man.
It's back, man. Oh, man. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Very
he's going to want to kill the Knicks.
Oh, he's going to be pissed. If he stays in a Brooklyn uniform, he's going to be pissed off. Knicks got the championship. He's going to be pissed off, man.
Yeah, I'm just also from the way back in the Towns trade. Yeah, he's going to want to give it to the Knicks. Yeah. And yeah, so it'll be interesting. Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Knicksfix, rapid fire question for Ian. Rapid fire. Let's go.
CP, Ian, what's going on, fellas?
How are we doing?
What's happening?
What's up, Ian? I love listening to you. As you know, I call in all the time, man. But so just one quick thing, man. I think actually the deal with Minnesota might actually be a precursor to something else that they might line up. I think that Minnesota's going hard after Derek White. So I think that might actually be on the table too. So it might be a precursor. But the question I had, man, is with the deal that we made for Mo Diawara, we don't exactly know the number, right? So it's 4 years, but we don't know if it's for like 11.5 or 10.6, right?
But I think either
Right.
way, you can fair to assume that they didn't use any part of that mid-level exception to bring him in. It was just the bird rights that they had. I think you can assume that, regardless of where the specific number is.
I see. I got you. Okay. So yeah, I feel as though maybe you guys might agree with me on this. I feel like the best thing that we could do possibly is offload those 2 other picks, that the 2 second-round picks, and then I really want Zuby at that 24 pick, but we'll see. But gotta love the Mo Diawara deal, and then let's see what we do tomorrow night, fellas. Stay up, right?
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate
you
that.
too, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, go ahead, Ian.
No, go.
Oh,
I
okay.
know it was rapid fire, so let's keep going.
JG, rapid fire question for Ian. Rapid fire, let's go.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, Ian, I was just wondering, in terms of the draft tomorrow night, obviously we'll see if they make their picks and what they do. But what do you think they'd prioritize more between big man, ball handler? Obviously, we don't know what the deal with Mitch is. Hopefully, we can keep him. But even if they do, with his health concerns, not playing back-to-backs, I don't know how they feel about Porty getting those minutes when he's not there. I mean, how do you think they prioritize it between, because obviously we have Alvarado and Kolek, maybe another wing. What do you think they'd be looking more for?
So my guess, and it's purely a guess, would be you probably want another ball handler, somebody who can take pressure off Jalen Brunson, but you don't want a rookie. You want somebody who's established in that position. So I would think that, you can scratch that off the board in terms of what they're looking for in the draft. And then, the center position's interesting. Again, Terrace Reed, I've heard is a guy who has fans within the organization. That all revolves around Mitchell Robinson and the second apron. And so all things, let's say, being equal, and the Knicks do bring Mitchell Robinson back, I think you go wing, right? You go big wing, because that's where the league is, and that you can never have enough big, versatile wings, guys who can defend multiple positions. And so, that's where I would go. Just all things equal, Mitch coming back, I think that's where they would target at 24.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Last one, Kep. Go ahead, rapid fire for Ian. Kep on the members lounge.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man. What's your name? Where you calling it from?
Man?
Perfect. Kep from Queens, Maspeth, Knicks5 all day, baby. Real quick. I don't want to waste anybody's time. Real quick.
Yeah.
More so of like a long-winded statement, but I feel like we're going to trade the 24th pick. We can't keep that pick, and we're probably going to trade one of the second-round picks. I don't think we're going to keep that. We've done this before. We've traded Obi for nothing. We're going to trade these picks. That leaves us with about 18 million, right? We have about 13. We trade these picks. We have about 18 million. We gave Mo Diawara about 2.5 out of that, right? It's going to be a 4-year, $10 million contract, 2.5 a year. I still think we're keeping Mitch. I think we can keep Mitch. We're the only team who can offer him that 5th year. So we give him 5 years, 45 mil, 50 mil. That's 10 million a year, right? No one's going to offer him that 5th year. They can't, even if they wanted to. So we get him with that. We give him that little bit at the end, so hopefully he stays for that 8 to 10 million range. Then we have Jose. We're trading that first-round pick 24. That's going to give us 3.3 million. Give that right to Jose for the next 3 years. Give him a 3-year, 10 mil contract. Then we have Huck Porty, and Shamet. Those are the last 2 that I'm concerned about. Jameson's gone. Dylan Jones gone. These guys are gone. Sohan gone. They're already free agents. We're not keeping them. Where do we stand with those moves?
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think you're getting Landry Shamet back unless you're going north of that second apron.
Yeah.
I think that's where that would sit. I don't know as much about Huck Porty. You talk to different people, you get different reads on him and where he sits. But certainly, you're talking about 10 million for Mitchell Robinson. I mean, that's a big pay cut, man. Is he going to take a big pay cut hitting free agency the way that at the time that he's hitting it? If he was going to do that, man, I'm sure that they could have worked out an extension before the season. So I can't see him getting all the way down to that number annually. The caller made a great point from Maspeth about that extra year. and that means a lot. But I can't see him taking 10 coming off of the current deal that he's coming off of.
But would the Knicks give him 5? I mean, does anybody have a 5-year deal right now?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They usually operate with like that 3+1 type of situation.
Yeah.
Ish, you know.
And I don't. Yeah, like is another team gonna even go a full 3? So is it even a conversation?
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I just can't see him saying, yeah, I'll take, with an extra year, I'll take $10 million a year. I don't. Based on how everything has moved to this point, I'd be very surprised.
Well, one last quick one for you as we talk about draft picks. Mikal Bridges on his Drunken Live, he hyped up Hakeem Dadiet a little bit, but we've heard that as well from people out of Westchester that Dadiet, is he looking to make that next leap in year 3? Have you heard anything from the organization, from the scouts, in terms of their confidence in Dadiet? When we talk about development from within and not having to spend outside, is that a potential option here?
So that's you hit it, CP. The last thing you said was development from within, not having to spend outside. I think there's, from what I've heard, like there's a high value placed on Dadiet for the player that he is and could be, and also he's on that contract that you're not going to get a veteran who can come in and play that role in a rotation. At that number, it's just not going to happen. So very team-friendly contract. I think that matters. I think that's one of the reasons why he wasn't put in any deals at the deadline. And also, equally as important, maybe more so, is that when he was in Westchester, I know that the Knicks really felt like there was something there based on what they were seeing middle of the season. There was something there. They liked what they saw. So maybe they do see this leap here. But on the flip side, your Dadiet, do you see a path to minutes? Is there a pathway to rotation here? And if not, how does that sit on your end? Because I'm sure you could find another team where he's got a better crack at getting rotation minutes. So, there's two sides to the coin, but certainly with the Knicks, the contract, they place a high value on that. And what they've seen from him in Westchester, I think that they've liked, by and large, what they've seen from him in the G League.
Yeah, will be very interesting. His summer league last year was cut short due to a foot injury. I'd have to imagine he goes back out to Vegas. I'll be in Vegas. Hopefully Diawara is back out there. And whatever new Knicks, should they choose to draft any. You'll be back Tuesday on the putback, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Who do we got on tap for the show on Tuesday?
Got a draft analyst from No Ceilings, a gentleman named Albert.
Yep.
I can't pull up his last name. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have Albert on to talk about some of the players in depth that we've been talking about, and we'll get into that second apron stuff and the rest of it tomorrow afternoon. And then I hope to have you, CP, on sometime soon during free agency, because I know you're going to be all over it. I'll be grinding. And you know what, man? I don't want to sound in any way like ungrateful or anything like that, but it's a grind. And now here we are, back to the draft and free agency.
Back to it.
Get me to August, brother. Get me to August 1. And I owe my wife a lot of domestic hours.
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking about.
Absolutely,
in the
man.
back of my mind.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, you're one of the guys we go to break this down for us and make sense out of everything. Congratulations on a great year and covering this team and winning the championship and bringing us all the insight and information on it. Whenever tomorrow's preview drops, we'll throw the link out there for the people to join in, and we definitely appreciate the time tonight, man.
Appreciate you, CP, as always, man. Congrats to you. Incredible where your business has gone and where it is now. Just forever impressed, man, and forever rooting for you. So congratulations, brother, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right, man. That was the great Ian Begley, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Who else better than Ian, man? That's our guy, man. We appreciate him for giving us the time. And as we break this down, can you guys, imagine? Yeah, I mean, some people are just like, man, I'm just trying to, the wife is like, I'm just trying to enjoy this championship. We can't be talking off season already. But what do? We got draft on Tuesday. We got free agency next week. The team is going to be changing. We got to break it down. Summer League coming up. Hey, we back to it. We are back on the hamster wheel, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we are back on the hamster wheel. So that's that. But in between, you catch up, you refresh the batteries, recharge the batteries, and all of that. But, yeah, we are grinding here, the number one show for the fans, by the fans. Let me take a quick time out to salute one of our sponsors of today's show, and that is SeatGeek, the number one rated ticketing app and the official ticketing app of KnicksFanTV. Hey, listen, the Knicks season is over, but there's plenty of sports, there's plenty of concerts, and plenty of events that you need to get to. And when you need your tickets, go to SeatGeek, because using our code KFTV10 will get you 10% off your tickets. That's right, KFTV10. You just download the SeatGeek app, or you go to SeatGeek.com. You type in your event, whatever you're looking for. Look for the green dots. Those are typically the best deals. They will rank those deals from amazing down to good. And the red deals, those are the bad ones. Stay away from those. That means you're not getting the best bang for your buck. It's that simple. So whether it's World Cup, you got the U.S. Open coming up of tennis, you have Jay-Z concert and all of that, head over to SeatGeek, use our code KFTV10, and they got you covered. Okay? All right, man. Let me get to a couple more callers, and then we will wrap. I got the great Jesse Itzler coming up tomorrow. Big episode, man. Jesse Itzler pulling up to KFTV tomorrow, 4 p.m. special edition KFTV Live. Jesse Itzler, you know the guy who sung and wrote the song Go New York Go. He's moved on to greener pastures and started Marquee Jets. He's now a very successful entrepreneur, but never left as a New Yorker. Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker. He's now a minority owner of the Atlanta Hawks. But he will be joining us on Tuesday, 4 p.m. And then we will have our draft show, 2-part episode. You know how we do on the draft. CK, Chris LeBron, Alex, Jeff Campbell, myself, the whole squad will be on joining you guys for our draft watch-along party. Okay? All right, man, let's get to the Discord. STG Nick, STG, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing good. It's been a minute. I didn't really get to call in after games 4, and then I was down in San Antonio for game 5. I'm still absolutely in shock of what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw you were in the building there for game 4. I mean, that's probably the best game of Garden history, and that probably we might ever see. I mean, just to come back from 29. Still, I'm just in awe. Like, how did we do it? I don't know, just chipping away bit by little bit.
Chip away.
It was just crazy, honestly, how the Spurs basically blew every single game. I'm not going to lie. I did think in game 5, I thought we were genuinely on the verge of losing that one. That's the Spurs defense in that first quarter was some of the best physical defense I've seen. It was nuts.
Insane.
And then that second quarter, they just chipped away. They started hitting some shots. And then before you know it, it's, whatever it is, a 3-4 point game going to the half. And then right when we got there, I was like, I felt good. And then I was heated, though, in the third quarter. I think it was the third quarter. That was a flagrant on Wemby. Oh, my gosh.
Easily. Since the rule was invented, that was a damn flagrant. Insane.
Nuts. And I think they didn't even want to call the foul anyways, because if they were to had to go and check it for review, that would have been a flagrant, and then he would have been suspended and everything. Yeah. But that was, and I thought that was okay. It was cooked then, because then San Antonio comes down and hits 2 threes. But just the the resilience from the group all playoff long was just unbelievable. So just didn't get a chance to call in, so wanted to say that. And then I guess headed into the draft. I guess my prediction would just be that they're gonna punt on 24 and then they're gonna use 31. I saw like if they use 31, it's to 1.3 million, whereas if they were to use 24, it's 3.3 million. So they would save like 2 million there.
Right.
And then from what I've seen, like I like the Evans kid. He looks pretty good. I think he would be the best fit in terms of like what they need if they were to lose like a Shamet. Izubi from St. John's isn't bad either, but I feel like Evans is more like what the team needs. So if I were to go with someone, I would go with him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in terms of the parade, like you touched on it in like one of the other shows the other day there. The Canyon Heroes, it's a nice, tradition and everything, but you got to expand the route.
Yeah, it's time.
Sure.
They've outgrown it. They've outgrown it for sure. And it's just time to get a little bit more creative. Especially when you had a lot of out-of-town. This was the first Knicks parade ever, so especially when you have a lot of out-of-towners, people want to come for the experience, and them not knowing how to handle New York, some people did not have a great experience. Some people had a great one. I had a great one. I speak for myself. I had a great experience. Some people did not have that, so they've got to consider, knock on wood, we get to another one, and it doesn't take 53 years. They got to consider expanding the route.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Good to hear from you, man.
I was going to say one last thing, related to like the free agency. Yeah, Mitch is definitely a priority. You can't afford to lose him. Just in terms of like, if you had to choose between him or Shamet, I think Mitch. It's harder to find a Mitch replacement than it is to find a Landry replacement. So you got to get the deal done with him, and then you see kind of what happens there with Shamet. I saw some rumors floating. I mean, it's crazy. Julius basically got dumped to Brooklyn.
Out of there.
Yeah, maybe you never know. Like, I know people always want it to happen, but maybe Dante goes somewhere, he gets bought out, and the Knicks bring him on a minimum. I saw that floated around.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think, the Minnesota thing's very interesting. I wondered as well, like, what the hell are they going to do? They're nowhere close in the West. When you think about OKC, you think about the Spurs, I forget the Lakers, but, other teams, right? Is Denver going to retool, or the Rockets going to figure something out? Like, the Wolves are stuck, and Julius, no knock on him. He's not the guy that you're going to build a championship contender around. I thought he was gone after last year. They gave him another year. What do they do with it? People in the chat think they go after John Morant. I don't know, but they've got to scramble and do something fast. A-Rod is scrambling right now. He just was in New York. He saw the Knicks win a championship. He's got to keep Ant-Man healthy before he requests a trade to the Knicks in 2 years. STG, good to hear from you, man.
Good hearing you. I'll see you.
STG on the Knicks Discord, KnicksFanTV Discord. Raining cats and dogs outside right now. Y'all hear that? It's raining. Everybody in New York, do you hear that? Want to salute another one of our sponsors of today's show, and that is Harry's Shave Club, a.k.a. the Harry's Plus, man. Let me tell you something, man. Everything is leveled up in your life. The Knicks have won the championship. Your phone is like the supercomputer. You got car sensors. You got headphones with cancel noise. But your razor, still the same flimsy, overpriced setup from years ago. That's why I switched to Harry's Plus and not going back. The first time you use it, you're going to notice a difference immediately. The weighted metal handle gives you real control, not the cheap plastic feel. And the pivoted system hits every angle, jawline, under the chin, and all the tricky spots. The blades are German engineered and owned at 3 different angles, so you get a clean shave without all that tugging and pulling. Plus, the blade spacing is designed to glide smoothly. No clogging like those drugstore razors. The best part, it feels premium, but it's still affordable. Harry's owns their own blade factory, so they cut out the middleman and pass the savings on to you. Right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for just $10. That's the razor, the 5-blade cartridge, the shave gel, and the travel cover. Go to harrys.com/KFTV to claim your offer. That's harrys.com/KFTV to claim your offer. Shout out to Harry's Plus and the Harry Shave Club, man. Salute to those guys. I'll take one more call and then wrap it up, man. Trent on the Discord. Trent, how you feeling, man? Do we have Trent?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man.
Good evening. Glad to hear from you, man. Go Knicks. We won the championship and stuff. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to offer up a argument. I've heard a lot of people say that the Knicks absolutely need to re-sign Mitchell Robinson no matter what. But my question is okay, I appreciate what he brings to the team, but how much are you supposed to reward a guy for getting worse at so many parts of basketball from his rookie year?
Yeah.
It's at some point, it's when are you just competing against yourself to give this guy more money?
Well, you heard Ian. There seems to be a bit of a market, including a team that views him as a starter. Is it the Lakers? Is it something like we just don't know? We got to see what the market looks like. I hear what you're saying. Mitch is not a perfect player. He has holes. The free throw situation got a little bit dicey, especially in the playoffs. The Hack-a-Mitch situation, it hurt them at times. Other times I thought they were okay. But I do think it's just when you look at the opportunity costs, are you going to go to Hawk Porty? Or are you going to go to a rookie? Or are you going to go to someone on a vet minimum deal? Are you going to go into the draft? You want Andre Drummond? Is that what you want, Trent?
No, well, I'll bounce some names off you. So, like,
Okay.
last year, a guy like Marvin Bagley, he got $3.5 million to come off the bench for the Wizards. I think he ended up with like 10 points and 6 rebounds. Or better yet, this season, rather. And also, when you're talking about Andre Drummond, he makes less than half of what Mitchell Robinson makes this year. So
but and then when they went head up, what happened? Did Andre Drummond do anything memorable in that series against the Knicks? Anything?
I'm saying that I'm not saying that you gotta go get Andre Drummond, but I'm saying there has to be some caution.
But I get it, Trent. But if you're giving me that name, he's got to be more than the corpse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Mitchell Robinson, he dunked on Embiid. We put that on a T-shirt. That's one in the Hall of Fame, Trent.
I'm not saying that like I don't want Mitchell Robinson on the team, but like, all right, I mean, someone has to pump the brakes a little bit. Like, all I'm saying, like, we gotta pump the brakes a little bit. That's all I'm saying. But I appreciate what he brought to the team. Like, I'm not completely against the guy getting paid somewhere, but it was like, should there be some sort of like, all right, prove it that you can get paid?
Sure, I'm not telling you. It's not a by any means necessary situation. I also don't think they're just going to get, like, head and shoulders outbid. And appreciate the call, man. Call back anytime. They're throwing tomatoes at you in the chat, so I got to save you, man. Call back anytime. Trent on the Discord. I'm not saying this is a by any means necessary situation here. But he's still valuable. And I don't want to hear, he didn't do anything in the playoffs. It was one run. He had a couple off nights. But what happened in Game 5? That same Game 5 you guys talk about. Don't forget about the big offensive rebound that he had over who? Victor Wembanyama. Put him in a crib. Had Wemby scrambling. Pushed him under the basket. You're too young. You're not ready for the big show. This is Big Country's time. Big offensive rebound in Game 5 to seal it. Does his job. Now, Trent, you call back anytime, but the chat is making tomatoes up out of you. We're bringing it back to classic KFTV vibes. Yeah, we got the championship, but we got to talk about it. We need Big Country back. And then he's telling me Andre Drummond, and then when I tell him Andre Drummond stinks, he's like, oh, well, not him. Well, then who? Now you want Marvin Bagley? I don't know, man. I'm a little aggy because I don't know. It kind of feels like a 50-50 situation with Mitch. I'm not going to lie to you. Not liking how this is sounding, but I hope that he's back. I hope that he's back, man. So, that's that. I appreciate it. I needed that energy. The vibes have been so good since April for the Knicks. 16-3. I haven't really had a chance to just turn up a little bit. I appreciate that, Trent. It's off-season edition. I just turn up a little bit. Appreciate that, man. Call back anytime, man. Nothing personal, man. Okay. All right. Who else we got here? $5 super chat. Pouring rain out of here in New York. Can't be orange and blue skies every day. Need a little balance. Crazy Man Club, Fan Club, $5 super chat says Knicks Tape 2026, a creative Knicks mixtape. Okay, all right, so he's plugging his, everybody's got a song and a tape out. Okay, let me check that guy out. Now, let me get up out of here, man. Go pour up a glass of scotch and go lay my eyes down, man. Think about tomorrow. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, we got Jesse Itzler coming through tomorrow, 4 o'clock. KFTV draft show simulcast with the NBA report. But we've had a ton of content here on KnicksFanTV. Shout out to the replay gang. Hit up the Bobby Marks episode. Hit up the Tracy Morgan episode. Hey, we had New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani on the show. Chap in with that. We had a ton of content on the channel, man. Go ahead and do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. Check out our draft show hosted by Chris LeBron and Albert from No Ceilings podcast. Okay? So salute to you guys. Salute to you guys, man. Oh, you know what? Shout out my guy, Will Latimer. You know what? Hang on. Speaking of Will Latimer, I just saw Will's order come across in the Shopify. We've been dropping new championship merch, and just released today was the Triple Crown t-shirt. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We got the NBA Cup. We got the Eastern Conference Finals. And now we got the elusive Larry O'Brien trophy, man. So go get your Triple Crown t-shirt at shop.knicksfantv.com, man. Championship merch. You got your team t-shirt. You got your Destiny t-shirt. Your sticker pack. All of that, man. We got the bundles. All of that, man. Shop.knicksfantv.com. Plus, we have our playoff t-shirts as well. Still doing well. You got the blue collar big stage t-shirt. Great job there. This was the fan contest. Blue collar big stage. Shout out to my guy from Australia who made that one. And then we also have the All or Nothing, the Subway t-shirt with the whole squad on there. So there you go, man. Head over to shop.knicksfantv.com to get your merch. We got prints. We got hoodies. We got the sticker packs. We got the bundles. Everything you need, man. Shout out to the Knicksfix $5 super chat. I see you in the building. All right? So we'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Great show. Thanks again to Ian Begley. Like, share, subscribe. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. All we ask is that you write us a good review. And that's that. Danny Espinal. Shout out to Bro Mike. Everybody on the Facebook side of things. Yo, we've been going crazy on the Facebook. We did 100,000 subscribers on YouTube a couple months ago. We just did 100,000 followers on Instagram. And then the other day, I just randomly checked the Facebook. We got 123,000 followers on Facebook. So shout out to the Facebook family. You guys are just as important. We got 123,000 followers on Facebook, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Yeah, so shout out to everybody for the support, man. Number one show for the fans, by the fans. You see it, man. You see it, man. Get your rally towels in stores. We out of here. Great show. Peace. Andre Drummond compared to Mitchie. Never. Big country, we need you back, man. If you're watching, go ahead and sign that contract. We out of here. Peace.